Well, again, happy Mother's Day. I was thinking as we approached Mother's Day this week that there are some things that only moms can say, that only moms can get away with saying, only moms have the right to say, I suppose. And I just found some texts from moms that were sent that I thought were just illustrated that truth. Okay, here's the first one. Somebody's kid sent them a text, said, "Mom, stop, you're not funny, you never make jokes, I made you." Right away, just the first thing out of the holster is the giving birth card, right? That's only moms have the right to say that for sure. Here's the next one from Mom, "Your great aunt just passed away, LOL. Why is that funny?" "It's not funny, David. What do you mean?" Mom, LOL means laughing out loud. "Oh my goodness, I sent that to everyone. I thought it meant lots of love. I have to call everybody back right now." Sometimes moms just need to be creative. Here's one. Mom said, "I'm leaving for the weekend, so I hid $100 in your room for food. Clean your room and you'll find it." Right? Moms sometimes just need to be creative. How about this one? "Mom, where are you?" The kid asks. "Leaving Walmart, halfway home." "Why, sweetie?" "You brought me to Walmart with you." "Oh, darn. Be right there." Sometimes moms are the only ones that can tell the truth. "Any plans tonight?" "No, loser." Probably only mom can get away with that. I don't know whose mom would say that. Anyway. Sometimes moms are the only ones with the right to say things, and we learn things from our moms, don't we? I mean, from what moms tell us, we carry those things into our adulthood, into life, and I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again because every time I tell this story, somebody brings me no-bake cookies. And my favorite cookies in the world are these no-bake peanut butter, chocolate, oatmeal cookie things, and I said, there's two ways to make these cookies. You cook all the ingredients, and then you roll them out. The correct way is you roll them all out and cut them into bars. Some people, like my mom did, some people, like my wife, they scoop these onto the tray to cool, and here's the real truth. You can guess by looking at me, I eat these cookies either way, all right? I don't suppose there's really a right way or a wrong way to do that, but I tease my wife, Sherry, that there's a right way to do it. Why? Because that's how my mom made them. And so if I was making those cookies, that's how I'd make them, because that's how mom made them. And we learn some things from mom, way more important things than how to make cookies, but we learn things from mom that we reflect for the rest of our lives. We carry out those traditions. We follow those recipes. We behave in that way because that's how mom taught us to behave. We shake hands and we say thank you and please because that's how mom taught us to act. We carry those behaviors into adulthood for our betterment, right? For our good, because mom taught us those ways. We reflect our mothers, maybe in hair color or eye color or the way we pronounce certain words or the recipes that we follow or whatever it is. We reflect our moms in all kinds of different ways. And this morning, I want us to consider how important it is that we reflect not just our moms, but even more importantly, our Heavenly Father. And I think there's three characteristics that are taught in 1 John chapter 3, the first 10 verses, that we need to live out in our lives so that we reflect our Heavenly Father well. If you have your Bibles, I'd love for you to open them up to the book of 1 John. We're going to take a look at chapter 3. We're going to study the first 10 verses here. Three characteristics that we ought to reflect as children of God. In 1 John chapter 3, verses 1 through 10. 1 John chapter 3, this is what God's word says. "See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God. And so we are. The reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now. And what we will be has not yet appeared, but we know that when he appears, we shall be like him because we shall see him as he is. And everyone who thus hopes in him purifies himself as he is pure. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous as he is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. No one born of God makes a practice of sinning, for God's seed abides in him, and he cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. By this it is evident who are the children of God and who are the children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. All right, 3 characteristics that I think are awfully important as we try to reflect our Heavenly Father in this world. Characteristic number 1 is that children of God have a bright future. Children of God have a bright future. See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God, and so we are. Verse 1, chapter 3 begins. See what kind of love. See what kind of love. I just want you to think about the last time somebody said to you, hey, come look at this. You know, there are a few things that stand out in life, and sometimes they just cause us to bring the people we care about, to call out to our friends, say, you've got to check this out. You've got to see this. The women in my life, my wife and my 2 daughters, they love to take pictures of sunsets. You know, every sunset, and we are lucky in Kansas, we have some beautiful sunsets, but all the time we're driving down the road, and I've got a wife or a daughter hanging out the window taking a picture of a sunset somewhere, and look at this picture of this sunset. They'll send it in the family text, right? You have to see this beautiful sunset. Sometimes things are so beautiful that they cause us to pause and say, man, you got to check this out. Look at this. My daughter Lacey is wrapping up her second year of college. She's in nursing school, and she had this class where some of the younger nursing students had to put on a simulation for the older nursing students to diagnose the issues, right? And so Lacey had this makeup on of an eye and something, spear hit it. I don't know what was going on exactly, but it was pretty gross. And I posted this, online. I said, this is what happens in nursing school, Lacey said. And then, people responded to this, and I started to worry that some people thought it was for real. That they didn't get this, just a simulation, everything's fine. Lacey has both eyes, they're working properly, everything's okay. But sometimes something happens, maybe you get a cut or a sore, or you see that picture and you're like, come, the milk spoils, like, come check this out because it's really gross. Look at this. You've got to see this, you've got to smell this, you've got to be around this because I don't like it, so I want you not to like it. Sometimes the things are just so gross, we say, hey, come check this out. Sometimes things are so weird. Again, in this family text, I got this video received from somebody, and I opened this video, and I'm like, what in the world am I watching? I'm watching somebody with a blindfold on and a water bottle tied to a ceiling fan, and the ceiling fan's going, and they're supposed to be like a Jedi test and know when the water bottle comes and duck and miss the water bottle, and I'm like, what in the world? I'll never get these 15 seconds back. Sometimes things are so dumb. We just say, you've got to come look at this. You've got to come see this. See the love that God has for us. Look at verse 3, chapter 3, verse 1. See what kind of love the Father has given to us. You've got to come check this out. What does God's love look like? Well, it's a big, beautiful, spectacular, amazing kind of love. I suppose you go back to that most famous of Bible verses, right? John chapter 3, verse 16. What does God's love look like? Well, it looks like Jesus coming into the world, his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him won't perish but have eternal life. Jesus' love for us, God's big, big love for us, rescues us in a way that every one of us absolutely requires, that I am in desperate need of. God's great rescue mission for the world, for every one of us, myself included, more than anyone else in the room. I'm in desperate need of a Savior. And God's big, big love rescues us in this amazing way, in this spectacular way. It's absolutely worth checking out, saying, come look at this. Come see this. But God's love is so big and so spectacular that it's more than a simple rescue mission. You know, we read that text, and right away from mom, mom plays that birth card, right? 36 hours of labor. Right? That should be enough. That ought to be enough. But we all know that motherhood doesn't stop there, right? That moms don't stop there. The love of a mother doesn't stop with that particular mission. And God's love doesn't stop with simply a rescue mission. His love is bigger than even that. He goes on to say, see what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God. We're made a part of His family. I want you to notice that, I think that language is important. We are called children of God. It's all His doing. He makes this possible. He does all the heavy lifting. His big, extravagant, some of your translations might say, look at how God's love is lavished on us. This love is so big it kind of over pours, it spills out of our cup in our life. He's made a way for us to know Him, to be a part of His team, to be called His children. And that love is so big and so amazing. It's worth looking at. It's worth paying attention to. If you've doubted His love for you in the past, if you're here this morning doubting His love for you, it's big enough, it's amazing enough, it's extravagant enough, it's difference-making enough for you to stop and take another look at it, to pay attention to it one more time, to hear from these passages how much He loves you, and the length that He has gone to demonstrate that love for you. He loves us in a big, big way. Verse 1 goes on to say the reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. The reason the world did not know us is that the world did not know Him. I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, if your mom ever said something, like, I just really want it. You said, Mom, I just really want to go to this party. I just need to be there for this. I can't miss this game. And Mom said, well, we're not going to do that. And maybe your response was something like, well, Billy's mom said it was okay. And what your mom probably replied was something like, I'm not Billy's mom. Right? Something along the lines of, maybe Billy's family will be there, but our family will not. Maybe Billy's family will miss church for that, but our family will not. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. But our family doesn't act like this. Our family is different than this family or that family. And essentially, John is saying the same thing. You are a part of God's family, and so your life is supposed to look different. And when you go out into the world, they might not get you all of the time. They might not understand you all of the time. And it's because you're different. You're a part of God's team. You're supposed to reflect Him, not the world. I was reminded of this this week. I don't want to spend too much time here, but the leak of an opinion from the Supreme Court and just conversation about abortion and I wrote an article. You can go read that online at walula.org. But I wrote this, and I just spent that time. I was away from it all day, and reluctantly that night, I opened social media. I opened Twitter to see what everyone was saying, right? And then it was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because I was brokenhearted. I was brokenhearted by the response. And it's not just a response to abortion in particular, but how we've disregarded God's love for us. And part of that love is his plan for things like men and women and sex and marriage. I just want to share one in particular. It was my favorite one. I don't have a picture of it because I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit. It was a picture of what appeared to be a Bible opened up, and it said, above this Bible, it said, pregnancy begins with men. Regulate them. Right, that's a paraphrase a little bit. And then under the Bible, it said Philippians 13:13. Very clever. And I read that and I thought, the God you are mocking, the book that you are mocking, does just that. It regulates men and women and the relationships that they have. Amen. It sets boundaries for marriage. And this gift of sex inside of marriage, it regulates it in a real way. And if we paid attention to God's love for us, demonstrated through these parameters that he sets up, the question of abortion would largely go away. Now, I get there are situations and circumstances that I'm not smart enough to understand. I can't list all the reasons or procedures or happenings that get listed and described as abortions, all of that. I'm not smart enough to have the conversation here and now. But largely, the question of abortion would be settled. It would be settled if we practiced marriage in God's way. If we loved each other in God's way. Now, the world doesn't get us. My heart, I said I wasn't going to spend too much time on this. My heart was broken because the church gets framed as this place that is this group of people, like it's a political party. The church is not a political party. Right? The church does not agree with everything one political party or another says in the United States or does in the United States. The church gets framed as this place where women are less than. It's just not true. The first equal rights movement was started by Jesus, and it's his church. Amen. Women, I just need you to know that I get that I'm insufficient to deliver this message, but you are loved in a big way by God, by his church, that you are welcomed here, that you don't have to feel less than, that God loves you. Big much. Let's go on, verse 2. In fact, that's where we begin. He says, beloved, we are God's children now. Our future is wrapped up right there, isn't it? We're loved in this big way. We are children of God right now. What does it mean to be children of God? What does it mean to be children of God? Well, first it means that we are indwelled by His Spirit, that we have this relationship with Him, and we are being made new, and that the Spirit lives inside of us. Romans chapter 8, verse 14 tells us that those who are led by the Spirit are children of God. That to be a child of God means that we are indwelled by His Spirit. To be a child of God means that we are lights to the world, that we reflect Him in the world. Philippians chapter 2, verses 14 and 15 tell us that when we have the Spirit inside of us, we are children of God and we're to be lights of the world, that we're supposed to reflect who He is and how big His love is into the world around us. And thirdly, that children of God are heirs of all things. Romans chapter 8, verses 16 and 17 says, the Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with Him, in order that we may also be glorified with Him. We are fellow heirs with Christ. And in that idea of being heirs with Christ, we're living again in that tension that we talked about last week of now. We are children of God right now. We are indwelled by the Holy Spirit. We are lights in the world because of our relationship with Him. And we are heirs. We're looking forward to this future with Him. Right? This glorious future. And we don't have hold of that totally yet. But we know that when He appears, we shall be like Him. Now we are heirs and we can count on Jesus returning, and when He does, we will be made like Him. We will be fellow heirs of all things with Him. I had a chance with my wife Sherry and daughter Zoe. We went to watch son Clayton and daughter Lacey play in this tournament, and softball and baseball, and so we get into town, and my daughter Lacey sends a text one morning to Sherry. Sherry said, hey, I'm going to get Lacey this coffee from the coffee shop and take it to her. Do you want to go? I said, sure. And so we go and we drive and we go through the drive-through and we get Sherry has a text message, and so there's like a 3-line order of what this coffee drink is made of, and I repeat those words and order the coffee, and they say your total will be at the window, and I get up to the total, and this coffee drink costs $7. I thought, $7? What is going on? And so we deliver this coffee to Lacey, and I say, Lacey, this coffee costs $7. She said, I know, that's why I called you. I said, Sherry, this is $7. I couldn't believe it. She said, well, you say that, you might as well spend it now because the kids aren't getting any inheritance. And I guess, well, not at this rate, $7. Well, that's what it means to be an heir, right? And so if you're my kids, you better not count on much, right? You can't count on too much, but as heir, we look forward to what we might receive. And as fellow heirs with Christ, we're heirs of all things. That what we are to be is not known yet, but when He appears, we will know. Because we'll see Him as He is, and we'll be made like Him. We'll be glorified like Him. Those verses that we hold on to when someone's sick, when someone's passed, that there'll be no more tears, there'll be no crying, there'll be no pain. That's our inheritance. Perfection, purity. And so if that's our inheritance, verse 3 says, start living like it now. And everyone who thus hopes in Him purifies himself as He is pure. So our response to God's great love for us is to be lights in the world, to live more and more and more like Jesus. Children of God have a bright future. Characteristic number 2, children of God are leaving sin behind. Verse 4 says, everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. So this verse is pretty heavy, and John here uses 2 words for sin. One is translated as sin, one is translated as lawlessness. pretty much throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, these words are interchangeable. They're synonyms pretty much. Here John kind of separates them out, and the idea is that sin is breaking God's law, and that lawlessness is rebellion against God. And what I think the idea here that we need to grab hold of, do you remember in Romans when Paul said, well, look, I get that not everybody had access to the law. But even if you didn't have access to the law and you ignored who God is, you ignored all the signs that there is a God, that you kind of went your own way and you rebelled against him, then you are guilty of breaking the law. Here John is saying the same thing. Whether you had access to the law and you broke that law, you sinned against it, you missed the mark, or you rebelled, you acted like, in other words, that there isn't a God, or maybe even worse yet, that you are God, and you rebelled against him, then you're guilty of lawlessness, and that's guilty of sinning. It's all kind of the same thing, John is saying. You're all guilty in going your own way and ignoring him, and that is real trouble. That is not an uplifting message. That is bad news for every one of us to hear, because every one of us falls into one or both of those categories of sinning or lawlessness at some point in time in our life. And so that's bad news. Luckily, though, we get verse 5, which is filled with good news. You know that he appeared to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. That sin and lawlessness, that problem we have, no matter our background, no matter where we come from, no matter where we've been, we all share this same problem. We are in the same boat. And the answer, the solution to that problem that each one of us has is Jesus. That he came and he made a way for us to be righteous. He takes away this sin, and in him, when we abide in him, when we say yes to him, there is no sin. We are forgiven. We are made clean. We are a new creation. No one, verse 6 says, who abides in him keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous, as he is righteous. Now you go back to chapter 1, verse 10 in 1 John, and it says, if we say we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. And here in 1 John chapter 3, verse 6, it says, no one who abides in him keeps on sinning. No one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. There seems to be this sort of contradiction here. But I think that it's not so much a contradiction, that this is calling us to this response in our life. And the key word for me that is going to be repeated over and over with this idea of righteousness and sin is practice. He who practices sin, or he who practices righteousness. Now just think about anything in your life that has required practice. You know, you improve, you go back, you make mistakes, you try again, you keep improving. I'm reminded of this anytime I have a conversation with a doctor, you know, that it's the practice of medicine. You know, doctors don't always get it right the first time. You know, sometimes that first diagnosis isn't quite spot on, and they got to keep trying. They've got to keep improving. And that's the call here in our life, is to keep practicing righteousness. That doesn't mean that we always take every appropriate step, that we never go backwards, that sin never creeps into our life again, but we continue to practice, and we keep moving forward, and we keep hanging on to him. We keep living in relationship with him. Verse 8 goes on to say, whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. This is such an interesting statement, because this is really restoration language. that John talks about when he says the reason that Jesus came was to destroy. That's odd, he's destroying something, but it's the works of the devil. And that's really restoration language. One of our elders, Sammy Vavricek, he's got this beautiful barn. I don't know if you've ever been to his house or seen pictures online or whatever. It's a beautiful barn. It's a long story with that barn. He was building this barn himself, and I don't remember the story exactly, but something happened. It was kind of weird. It was a storm or lightning, and it burned down. Something happened, and he had built this almost all the way completed, and it was, boom, done. And so he's like, I want this barn. And so, we're going to build this barn again, but I don't think I'm going to build it by myself this time. And he hires somebody else to build this barn. I'm pretty sure that was when a tornado came through and wiped it out again. Just boom, destroyed, done. Finally, he's got this beautiful barn. He keeps putting up this barn, right? And at a certain point, I'm like, Sammy, God's trying to tell you. No, I don't know. No, maybe not. Right? He keeps putting up this barn. But that's the restoration language that we read here in verse 8. That the reason Jesus came was to destroy the works of the devil by restoring our relationship with him. Works of the devil is sin, and that sin leads to a broken world, and all the things, so many of the things we've discussed this morning as a result of that sin. Right? It's a brokenness. And Jesus came to destroy that work. In other words, to restore everything around us. That begins with our individual righteousness. He came to make us right. Why? So that he could restore our relationship with the Father. So that we can be in relationship with him. He came to restore the brokenness of the spiritual realm. Remember, the devil has been sinning from the beginning. Right? There's restoration taking place that will take place that we can't see or imagine. And finally, he's come to restore even the physical universe. That there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. That these bodies will be restored and glorified just like Jesus' body is glorified. That he came to destroy the works of the devil, and it's actually restoration so that we can be born of God. Verse 9 says, no one born of God makes a practice of sinning, for God's seed, that his spirit abides in him, and he cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. We have this new life in him, and we begin to practice righteousness. Characteristic number 3 is that children of God choose love and righteousness. Look at verse 10. By this it is evident who are children of God and who are children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. I think a couple things stand out to me. First of all, there's this clear choice here, right? There's only 2 choices. We live in a world that we want to be filled with gray. We're not used to kind of pass and fail sorts of grades. But here, that's what John says. There are children of God and there are children of the devil, and it's pass, fail. We want to work on kind of a percentage basis. Now, grades are out. I know my kids, Clayton and Lacey, they're wrapping up school and have wrapped it up, and so their grades are coming out. They're looking to see what they've done. High school's wrapping up. All those things are taking place right now, and I know there are people, even in this room, like Elliot Wilk, who blow the curve, right, who destroy the percentages. Right? They throw it all out of whack, but we want to live in the percentages where we can slide in with that A minus, or in my case, that B minus. We want to just slide in there. We're not used to pass, fail. But that's what John says is true here. That there's children of God and there's children of the devil, and there's not really anything in between. And so it's evident, though, who are children of God. And we can tell. By the fruit in our life, Jesus said in Matthew chapter 17, or chapter 7. We'll know by the fruit. We can see. A few weeks ago, a month or so ago, I suppose now, we were doing this pulpit exchange, and I was preaching at this Sunflower Baptist Church, and so I came. They only have an 11 o'clock service. I came to the 9 o'clock. I had a tie and a suit jacket on, and people were like, "Whoa, tie and a suit jacket, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I'm preaching at this other church, and that's kind of their style and what they do, and I don't want to embarrass my mom." right? I want people to know that I was raised with a little bit of sense. You know, I want to reflect well on her. And so this is what John is saying. That, hey, we know by the way you live your life, by the fruit in your life, who you are reflecting, either God or the enemy. It's evident because of the fruit. It's evident because he who is chasing after God, who is a child of God, will pursue and practice righteousness. He who is chasing after and reflecting God as a child of God will practice love, will choose to love one another. Children of God choose love and righteousness. I don't know if you guys are fans of these TV commercials. I think they're pretty clever. These You're Becoming Your Parents TV. I think they're advertising insurance of some kind. And they're all about how you might be becoming your parents. You know, there's one where this couple of people are in this home improvement store, and this young man walks by with blue hair, and they're just looking at him, and it's like, we all see it, stay calm, right? Or you're at the movie theater, and the instructor, the guy who's trying to instruct people not to become their parents, says to the folks walking into the theater, okay, snacks are going to be expensive, let's all just accept it now. Right? I don't know if you've ever been offended by one of those commercials, right? But if you've been a little bit offended by one of those commercials, you might be becoming your parents. You know, and there's just a lot of truth to that. In fact, there's this psychological study called introjection that says this is the phenomenon of humans absorbing the attitudes, values, or traits of the people they spend the most time with. We are bound to become our parents a little bit. Spend time with Jesus. Become like him.